Yeah,
situation.
very true. Good segue
Yep.
to The Man Who Knew Too Much, directed by Alfred Hitchcock.
Yes, and this is Alfred Hitchcock made two movies with this title.
Right.
Another one in the 50s with Jimmy Stewart, with apparently a bit of a different plot. I haven't
Jimmy Stewart, who
seen.
appears in the second Thin Man movie.
Oh, yeah. I haven't seen the other one, but I
Yeah,
imagine that
same.
this is rather different because it seems there's aspects of this that are very post World War One.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I've heard that the other Hitchcock movie is like, it is a remake, but it's like a lot of it is changed. Like, it takes place in different locations, and it's kind of the basic setup, I think, is the same, but otherwise it's pretty different. But I don't know. I haven't seen it.
The Man Who Knew Too Much is the main character, and he kind of has witnessed a murder of a friend, a sort of friend acquaintance of his, who it turns out was a secret agent,
Mm-hmm.
and he is trying to figure out what's going on with this mystery while also not letting the cops get involved because his daughter got kidnapped, and
Mm-hmm.
they'll kill her if he goes to the police.
Yeah. But he does not have a particular set of skills. He is just a wealthy British man, so he has to make do with just gumption.
Yeah, and he's kind of bumbling his way through a lot of this stuff.
I think this is, I don't know if this is the first example of this, but this is a very like classic Hitchcock setup of like ordinary person or people kind of like fall backwards accidentally into some like crazy spy plot
Mhm.
that they're not involved in, but sort of like get caught up in and then have to make do despite not being spies themselves, and kind of, yeah, just through the skin of their teeth, like get out of the situation. I feel like North by Northwest is probably like the most, that's kind of like the peak of that kind of
Mhm.
Hitchcock subgenre. I feel like all of my favorite Hitchcock movies are this, like, are all basically just The Man Who Knew Too Much over and over again. Like, it's such a great setup to have, like, you know, someone who isn't a spy get caught up in spy intrigue.
Yeah, this guy is like initially kind of jealous of this spy. He doesn't really have as good of a relationship with his wife, I think. I thought it was kind of strange at the beginning of the movie that he's always like telling his daughter, like, "Hey, shut up, buzz
Yeah,
off."
he's kind of a big old jerk in the beginning of the movie, which is kind of part of the thing, is that he's like a wealthy rich guy who's like kind of a jerk. His family doesn't really like him that much, or it seemingly doesn't get along with his family great, and then it's like a crisis happens and he has to
Yeah,
become a man of action, kind of.
right.
Yeah, there's a moment, right, because his so Bob and Jill Lawrence are the married couple, and then their daughter is Betty, as they say. Some really like heavy duty English accents in this movie.
Yeah, every time they say thank you in this movie, they say thank y'all.
Thank y'all, and a lot of I say. So Jill Lawrence is a like a sharpshooter, or like an Olympic shooting person, whatever that's called.
Clay shooting? I don't.
Yeah,
Clay
and
pigeon shooting?
she's in a shooting competition with this other guy. Right as she's about to shoot, a watch goes off, and Betty says something about it, and then Jill misses the shot, and Bob, the dad, just goes, "It was all your fault, fathead," which is like, don't say that to your daughter, Jesus, man. Fatherly of the year over here.
Oh, her shooting rival, like the daughter, I believe, like says he's got too much brilliantine, which I looked up. It's like a hair gel for men, and so every time you see this guy in a scene, it starts with a close up shot of his greasy hair, which is a very funny, like recurring bit. It's like, oh, you know, this guy's in the scene because like we're gonna pull out from an extreme close up of his greasy black hair.
Oh boy. It's funny. I did notice the like all of the hair close-ups. I thought that was just kind of like a weird flourish, but that is very funny. But the real reason why Jill missed her shot is because the watch went off, and the watch is owned by Peter Lorre in his first English language role.
Yes, he did not speak English yet. So, a la
Right.
early Jackie Chan English roles, he had to just like learn the sounds that he was making,
Yeah.
and then say them. I think he does. I kind of I bought it
I would
as
never
speaking
have guessed
English.
that. Like,
Yeah,
he doesn't sound. He has like a slightly stronger accent in this movie than he does in like his later Hollywood movies, but not by a lot. Like, he speaks very good English for not knowing what he's saying.
yeah,
Peter Lorre's watch is kind of another recurring thing, like his watch chime. Good use of sound too. Hitchcock making use of sound being a thing.
it's like Peter Lorre's whistling in M.
Right? Yeah. This is all happening in Switzerland at like a ski resort. So Jill is dancing on the dance floor with the spy who's like their old friend, I guess. And Bob, because he's jealous, ties a string to the back of the guy's coat so that like it'll unravel the string as they're dancing around and like get them caught up with everyone else who's dancing.
Very petty.
Right, very petty. I do like how during the scene, it cuts to Peter Lorre just like laughing his ass off. Like it's like a specific shot where it just like cuts to him and Peter Lorre sees this and he's like, "Oh boy, this is great."
Yeah, like you don't necessarily know that Peter Lorre is the evil mastermind, and he's just kind of a funny guy who's around up
Right.
until that point.
Yeah. Right. It's like, you know, that clearly he's like, I mean, he's on the poster, so that's probably a tip off. But it's like early in the movie, right? He is just kind of a guy that's there, and he's definitely featured heavily. It's clear that he's like a main character. But yeah, I like the kind of like slow reveal of that he's kind of the main villain. And then there's a shot through the window. The spy friend has to like very quietly die from being shot because he doesn't want to make a scene and because he has to like get information out of the country.
Yeah, so he tells Jill to go up to his room and get a piece of paper inside of a brush that he has, and then deliver it to like a certain person, and at which it's a secret message with some information of political importance. And so after he dies, they run up to the room, but then they kind of get caught up with the cops trying to go up to his room as well, and they're only barely able to get a hold of the document. But in the meantime, the kind of rival sharpshooter, he initially tries to take the piece of paper from them, but then he gets cut off by the cops
Mm-hmm.
before he's able to, and he comes up with another plan, which is to kidnap their daughter and threaten them to say like if they relay this information, then he'll kill their daughter.
Mm-hmm.
And thus begins this kind of like this tense balance they have to play between like trying to figure out where their daughter is and getting to the bottom of this mystery is sort of like the way they do it. They're approached by some people from some like spies, and they're basically saying like you have to let your daughter die because this is a matter of huge inter-country importance, that
Mm-hmm.
this like that we're trying to stop an assassination here, and they're like, we don't know who this guy is. Like we like if it's a matter of whether our daughter's gonna die or this guy's gonna die, then like we have to rescue our daughter. Speaking of the kind of post World War I aspect, like the spy guy, he says, in June 1914, had you heard of Sarajevo? Of course you hadn't. I bet you hadn't even heard of Archduke Ferdinand, but because a month later, a man you'd never heard of killed a man you'd never heard of in a place you'd never heard of, this country was at war.
Mm.
It's pretty good.
Yeah. Great moment. Yeah, like such a great setup of like spy stuff's happening. The main characters don't really care about that. Like all of the spy intrigue is kind of in a very kind of Hitchcocky way. It's like definitely kind of taking a back seat. It's like the actual importance of like the secret documents and the, you know, all that stuff is like you don't really have to worry about that. What matters is like parents need to get their daughter back. That's what's going to carry us through the rest of this movie. They do kind of like hatch a plan with the with like the British spy agency to get their daughter back, and so they have to go to a small town in England where the bad guys are hid out, and there follows a series of kind of Hitchcock set pieces, I guess. I don't know.
They start kind of deciding to solve this mystery, and as soon as Bob gets into being a detective mode, he puts on a trench coat and a fedora.
Well, because that's the thing. This movie made me think about that it's like that was a genuinely good disguise in 1934, because that's just what everyone wore, and you could blend into any crowd that way, right?
Right.
But it's funny that became the sort of like the kind of cliche costume for like a detective or a spy or someone who like is supposed to be keeping a low profile. And it's like, I know this from experience. If you wear a trench coat and a fedora, you stick out in a crowd. you look like a cartoon. So, you know, but it works in this movie because it's actually the 30s and that's how people dressed.
The mystery solving intrigue brings them to a couple really fun set pieces, like you were saying. One is this sort of tense moment trying to investigate this guy who's posing as a dentist, or he's a dentist, but he's also a bad guy.
There's like a dentist's office that's like a front for the bad guy's crime ring, and there's a creepy dentist.
And there's a point where the dentist realizes that they're kind of onto him, and so he starts forcing the nitrous onto Bob to knock him out, and Bob like is able to like wrest it out of his hands and then spin it around and like just like force the dentist onto the chair, and then like ram the breathing apparatus like onto his face until he knocks him out, which is really cool.
Yeah, and then he puts on like the dentist coat and the glasses, and then he pretends to be the dentist working on the now unconscious crime dentist, and can overhear some conversations about where the bad guys are hid out. And so they follow them to a church, but it's like a weird like sun cult church.
Yeah. What a strange introduction, or what a strange like inclusion in this movie.
Right. And so then they're like trying to blend in this like weird cult church while everyone's singing, and Bob is there with a guy named Clive, and so the way they're like communicating is like singing along to the tune of what everyone else is singing in the church, but they're just talking. So he's like, Clive, 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 what are we gonna do?
The entire Sun Cult Church is all like a secret society of bad guys, basically. Yeah. So it's extremely obvious from the moment that they're in there that they are intruders.
Yeah. Then Bob starts a chair fight, which is a very fun sort of action scene, I guess.
Where they're just throwing breakaway chairs at each other.
Right. There's like an entire church full of chairs that all get thrown. Him and the bad guys are just chucking chairs back and forth, and all of them break.
There's a point later in the movie where some cops walk into that area, and they're just like, what is all this mess?
So good. But so then it's sort of Bob gets caught by the bad guys, basically. So then it's like they have the daughter and Bob. Bob finds out that their secret plan is they're gonna assassinate this ambassador at a classical music concert, and they're gonna use like the crescendo of the music to hide the sound of the gunshot. Classic spy gag.
That's cool. Yeah.
I mean, that like set piece at the concert is like almost verbatim in Mission Impossible Rogue Nation. Like,
yep.
I have no doubt that is like a direct reference to this movie, which is, I don't know, I find it so funny watching like just old movies in general. I mean, like, oh, that's where this like other famous thing comes from. It happens a lot. Bob is able to get out warning to Jill about what the plan is. And so then Jill goes to the concert and is like, if she tells the cops and they stop the assassination, then her husband and her daughter will get killed. But she knows that this ambassador is about to get assassinated, so like, can she do nothing? And there's this like very tense, very like quintessential Hitchcock set piece of like, she can kind of see where everything is. Like, she can see her old rival posted up, with a gun. She can see the ambassador. You can see where the cops are, and she's like,
And she can kind of guess that something's going to happen, but she doesn't know exactly when. And
right.
so there's like this tension ratcheting up of like, you know that the moment in the song that the gunshot is going to happen is coming
Mhm.
up, but she's like having to keep an eye on him to see when it seems like he's about to shoot, because she like is not fully able, she doesn't know it could happen any second,
Yeah.
basically.
But it's very the like Hitchcock thing where he talks about like suspense is telling the audience that there's a bomb under the table, but not letting the characters know, kind of. And this is kind of a variation on that, of like both the audience and Jill know that this thing is about to happen, but not exactly when or how. And yeah, it's very tense. Like it holds up very well. Jill screams, and so that causes the shot to only wound the ambassador. So it's like initially it seems like it went off without a hitch, but
She gets back at this guy for his hijinks making her miss her shot in the
right.
beginning, because she makes him miss his shot just
Yeah.
slightly.
And so then the police like chase him back to follow him back to the hideout, and there's this sort of like standoff siege between the police and the bad guys.
It's quite a violent shootout in between.
Yeah. I mean, like this and maybe like Scarface or something is like one of the only other movies, I guess, some of their like gangster movies you watch that have like extended like gunfights in them.
Yeah.
And it is kind of like Peter Lorre during this part is like he's kind of like mildly frustrated by like being in a gunfight. It seems like he's like he's very kind of like, oh, fine, like I guess
he's like a very confident criminal mastermind.
Yeah.
And so like anything, he just kind of rolls with all the punches.
Right. Yeah. And then you got the big like finale where Bob gets Betty out but is shot and wounded, and then there's kind of like the rooftop showdown. The assassin, who's the guy with the hair, is like cornered Betty on a rooftop, and like the police can see it, and then Jill, seeing this, there's the police sharpshooter,
well,
and he's like, I can't
make the shot.
I can't take the shot, but then Jill, who we know is like an expert markswoman, grabs the rifle from him and shoots the bad guy, who is also her like competitor in shooting,
her sports rival.
Yeah. But just like such a great like setup and payoff, that it's like that they are sports rivals at the beginning. She's the one to kind of like save the daughter at the end by shooting the guy. I don't know. Just that all the satisfaction of that scene is like so perfectly calibrated.
It's really well put together.
Like as soon as that happened, I was like, yes! Oh, this is exactly what I wanted to happen. Oh, and then another great like setup payoff thing is like the police bust into the hideout, and Peter Lorre is like hiding behind a door, but his watch chimes again and gives him away, and so they get him.
Peter Lorre is really good in this movie.
He's really good. He's got like the scar over his eye, and he's always like has like a cigarette like kind of hanging out of his mouth a little bit. He's very like just a great sort of sinister but also like very like relaxed, like laid back villain.
Yeah.
Who's like kind of above it all and is like mostly just tired by like having to deal with what's happening.
Yeah, really good writing, really well put together.
Mm-hmm.
I like it.